Good evening, and welcome to the very first episode of Biscuit Town. I am your host, Baby Biscuit McGee, and tonight on the program we have a very special guest. Joining us is 3D printing specialist, entrepreneur, and app developer, Trey Hope.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? Nice to meet you all.
Thank you for being my guest tonight. I wanted to first ask you a little bit about your business and 3D printing.
Sure.
What is that about?
Okay, so essentially 3D printing is, you've heard of 2D printing, right? Just from a normal printer,
Right.
Printing off something like paper. 3D printer is essentially the same method, but it creates a 3D object. So I'll design a 3D model in whatever software I choose, and then I feed that information through a printer, and it can give me out a 3D model of whatever I had designed in that software. So I've mainly been making things like keychains, necklaces, cups, bowls, vases, you name it. So the possibilities are endless because it's based off 3D models. So that's kind of how my business model has been going so far.
Wonderful. So what got you interested in this? Like, how did you start?
Actually, when I was living in Colorado, a lot of my, I hung out with some older guys. They were like in their 30s when I was in my early 20s. And they had mentioned 3D printing a lot back then, but I didn't have the money or the resources to get one. So I kind of just put it in the back of my head. But by the time I moved back to Ohio in 2017, it was at that point I was like, I now have enough money to get one. And I also am just interested in trying something new. So at that point, I just got a 3D printer and I just started practicing, and I kind of just fell into it that way. So it wasn't really a set day or action that maybe just changed my motive in life, but I just fell into it, and then I found out that I loved it.
Wonderful. Maybe you could, it's like a LLC, right?
Yes.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit, like, what is the biggest struggle maintaining your business?
The biggest struggle?
Yeah.
Let me see, that's a good question. Because there's a lot of them, but I'll try to keep it short and simple. I guess the biggest struggle for me is doing everything by myself right now. Mm-hmm. Trying to build a team sounds easier said, it is easier said than done, but with my business is kind of like my baby almost, and I kind of treat it like such. So I don't want just anyone coming in and trying to run things, because in the end I feel like it's going to mess it up. So right. The biggest struggle for me is trying to find the right individuals who can run this business with me, and they can also take it to a level that I've never even imagined as well.
Right. Okay. So what is that level? Like, what's the end goal? What do you envision for Trey Designs?
Really just becoming like a household staple as far as 3D printing goes. Like how Amazon is now a household name when it comes to delivering whatever you need. Mm-hmm. I want Trey Designs to be in that same boat, to where if a business needs keychains made overnight, they'll think of Trey Designs first before anyone else. So that's really my end goal. As far as the little small logistics and things like that, I'm not really too specific, because this is a lane that I've never been in, and I don't know too many people in it, so I can't really compare it to how it should be. I just want to be able to say, all right, Trey Designs is now being said by people, and has good reviews and things like that. So that's really my end goal.
Okay, that's wonderful.
It might change over the years, but that's it right now.
Do you want to do like making prosthetics or more complicated things with the printer?
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely thought about that. Prosthetics, even in long-term houses. I would have definitely like to take it to the level where I'm actually manufacturing more than just small trinkets for people. I'm actually making things that can benefit people in the long run, whether it be housing or, like you said, prosthetics and things like that. So I just need a little bit more time, a little more money, but that's definitely in my vision.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
What is your passion more, like app development or 3D printing?
That's a great question too. Honestly, if you had asked me this question 2 years ago, I'd say app development. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I would say 3D printing, just because whenever I'm 3D printing, I feel like I'm bringing something new every time. Versus app development, I kind of feel like I'm recycling things, or I'm kind of spinning the wheel as far as what other people have already done. Mm-hmm. But with 3D printing, I just feel so alone and unique that whatever I'm working on, I just feel like it's the newest Apple or the newest Microsoft, whatever it is. In my mind, that's how I look at it. So I say it gives me more pleasure right now, and possibly for years to come.
Awesome. How do you feel about the internet? Like, is it the bane of our existence, or is it like a miracle?
It's kind of both, but if I have to pick one, I'm going to say it's probably more negative than positive, simply because the people who are using it don't know how to use it in positive ways. You know what I mean? I think the intentions of the internet initially were good. It was to connect people, share information, share resources instantly, but it's turned into a way to kind of divide us more so than anything. Whether it be politics or race or religion, it just separates us based off of connecting people over things that don't necessarily matter, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't think the internet is being used properly, and therefore it's more of a negative.
I tend to agree with you, actually. And I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about the internet and internet obsession, and like children in today's age, how they're like kind of brought up on the internet, so they don't know anything different. And when you think about like internet pornography is really fueling the sex trafficking industry at this point. So there are a lot of troubling things about it.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like fueling it in three main ways, because it's like now people see this really explicit stuff and they gotta go find like prostitutes to do that with. And then, you know, people who abduct these young girls and boys, they show them this as like a training video. And, you know, it's getting people desensitized. And I think that's troubling. But anyway, I mentioned it because, you know, the internet, I'm sure, is very important to, you know, you advertising your business and everything, but I just wonder what you thought about it overall.
Gotcha.
Oh, are there enough black people in the tech industry?
I think there is a good amount of black people, but it's hard to answer that, because it's like, I don't know what do you really classify as enough? Like, do you feel like it's enough to move black people forward in society, or how are you defining enough, I guess?
Well, I mean, they advertise about like STEM fields, and quite often there's more white faces, especially at the top. So I'm wondering if you feel like when you get into certain jobs and everything, it's like you don't see a lot of people like you, or is there enough? Should there be more? How could there be more?
Okay. In that sense, I don't think there is enough black people in those regards, simply because in any field that you're in or passionate about, you want to feel like you can relate to people there. Otherwise, you're just going to feel very secluded and alone, and you just won't be as productive. So with me in IT being the only black student in my college classes, I was sometimes afraid to ask questions, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want people saying, oh, the black kid doesn't know anything. Like, why is he even in this class? He's asking all these questions. So even though that's just a personal thing, it just still stuck with me all those years I was in college. And then even when I'm in my full-time job, being the only black person there as well, it makes you just feel like you got to walk on eggshells, you know what I'm saying? Because if I'm the only black person here, I have to represent black people. Like that's what it feels like whenever you're the only one there. You feel like you are representing your race, and it's just a lot of pressure. So I do think we need way more black people in STEM fields, just be able to relate more for those that are coming up and trying to be in STEM fields themselves.
So how would you encourage kids who want to get into STEM fields?
I would encourage them by exposing them to the benefits of STEM fields. So for like IT, if I can show them that they can make an app that can provide any service for their community, or, you know, 3D print something that can be useful for whatever they're working on, I think just exposing them to it lets them know that they can join it as well. A lot of the times when we're growing up, if we don't even understand these things, we just think, oh, that's just some magic that the white man handles, you know what I'm saying? Like, an app, black people come to me all the time, like, you make apps? Like, I know magic or something, but it's really not that hard. It's just, I did it. So I think just getting people's feet wet with the possibilities of technology is enough to get them to want to do it in the long run.
Wow, inspirational.
Hey, thank you.
This has been my guest, Trey. Maybe you could tell us, like, how do we get our hands on some 3D printed stuff, and how do we find you online?
Sure. So you can find me, my business name is Trey Designs. That's lowercase TR, number 3, capital D, lowercase ESIGNS. So Trey Designs. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. If you want to actually purchase some things from me, I have an Etsy webpage, so you can look for me on there as well. And just look for me around the city. You know, I'm always around, just trying to figure out what the next invention can be. So if you see me, don't be afraid to walk up and just say hi and get a conversation started about 3D printing.
Thank you so much for being on.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me, for real.
My name is Fear, but I am no monster. I reside in the consciousness of every living soul. My best quality. That may be my potency. I can rapidly form a million thoughts to send a person into panic. Sometimes for good reason, other times for no reason at all. I would not say I relish these emotional disruptions. I simply exist. How I play in the brain is the responsibility of the subject. I was born with the first organisms. At an earlier time, my greatest purpose was to protect from legitimate physical threats. But as time went on, I multiplied. Now I can warn you of real physical danger or the billions of dangers imagined. It's up to you to determine which is real. Humankind should not seek to conquer me, for this is futile. Do not attempt to conquer, but instead to see. When one can clearly see me, they realize what is true fear and what is irrational. Look inward and strengthen your mind's eye. This is the only way I can be tamed.